So far away, Lucas, what is your favourite fictional gun?
Ooh, favourite fictional gun. I mean, there's a few in my mind, but the first one that sprung to my brain was the Needler.
I was hoping you'd say the Needler, because I think that might be one of my favourite fictional guns. And audience at home, let us know your favourite fictional gun. But now, Lucas, let's talk about the Noisy Cricket.
I make this look good.
The Noisy Cricket from the Men in Black franchise is easily one of the most ridiculous fictional firearms ever devised. It's a pocket-sized alien blaster that produces enough recoil to tear the arms off of a concrete gorilla. It's a weapon so ineffective you'd have more chance of killing someone with it by hiding it in their cereal and hoping they choke to death on it. Well, as it turns out, it is revealed in extra universe information about the Men in Black franchise that the Noisy Cricket is given to rookie agents as a joke.
I must apologize for Wimp Low. He is an idiot. We have purposely trained him wrong, as a joke.
So far away, Lucas, what do you remember about the Men in Black series and specifically the Noisy Cricket gun? Because we've got to give props to Will Smith here. He really sells how stupid that thing is when they hand it to him, and he's just like, look at me stupid, I'm going to break this thing, this toy, you're getting a cereal box or something.
I feel like I'm gonna break this damn thing.
Yeah, like, obviously the joke is like, oh, that the weapon is this ineffective, tiny little thing that turns out to not be, and it just blows everything up. But yeah, just fair play to Will Smith on fully just selling the idea of like, what's this little tiny gun gonna do?
Yes, I also as well have to give props to Tommy Lee Jones of when he's like waving around, whoa, don't you ever do that with a Noisy Cricket.
Come on, man. You get a Series 4 deatomizer, I get a little midget cricket. Oh, yeah.
And like, I don't really like Men in Black 2 or 3, but I do really enjoy Men in Black. It was one of my favourite movies to rewatch as a kid, and I mean, obviously, shout out to like Vincent D'Onofrio in that movie, but
such a good performance, most people don't realise it's him. Because throughout most of the movie, he's melting. And that might be one of the most impressive practical makeup effects I've seen in a movie. Because I rewatched Men in Black over the Christmas holidays. And just all I'm thinking, I'm looking at Vincent D'Onofrio, is like, he looks like he's falling apart.
Oh, your skin is hanging off your bones.
Yeah, it's really like actually still convincing, I think, and
his performance as well, like walking like he's not in control of his body.
It's such a good performance, and I didn't really remember who he was, but then obviously he's like Kingpin in the Marvel Daredevil show, and like all of a sudden I don't remember when it was. I think I was just like looking up, oh, what else has this guy been in? Because he's really impressive. It's like, wait, he's the evil guy in Men in Black.
Is that letter?
And one of the things I noticed when I was watching that film is that the bug who steals his skin is nicer to his wife than he is. In regards to the Noisy Cricket, for anyone unfamiliar with the weapon as it's portrayed in the Men in Black franchise, it is a tiny little alien blaster about this big that Will Smith makes fun of, that produces so much recoil it can launch one adult-sized man roughly 40 feet backwards when they fire it.
Which, yeah, implies, with the whole Newton's third law, is it?
Well, it's an alien gun, fuck it doesn't have to make sense.
But, no, I was just going to say, it means that it's firing a lot of force forward as well as firing Will Smith very far backwards.
Yes, and that is the joke, that the tiny little alien gun is actually one of the most dangerous things in the entire series. And as funny as it is to watch Will Smith get blown back 40 feet ass first through the windscreen of a car, it does raise some weird questions about the Men in Black universe, which, for the most part, is fairly well established. Like, there is that cartoon, right? There's the Men in Black cartoon, which is quite good, which is almost impossible to find anywhere, so thanks, streaming services, for fucking ruining stuff like that, but it's weird that this weapon that is so powerful, it is equally as likely to kill the person wielding it as it is atomize the suspect. and then they give it to people on their first day. Like, keep in mind, it's Will Smith's first day when he fires that gun.
Yeah, I do find it very funny that, like, the implication of the training that he gets is just everyone's just thrown in at the deep end and may die on your first day.
Basically, yes. And keep in mind, if Will Smith had fired that with one hand, that would have been the end of Men in Black right there. Because Men in Black would have ended with Will Smith's right arm flying 3 blocks over and knocking someone the fuck out as he bled out in a dirty suit, right? If he didn't choose to fire it properly, he would have blown backwards. Like, his arm would have been ripped off, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and realistically, if someone handed you that tiny gun, you would not think you need to wield it with both hands.
And the fact that he fires it and immediately gets blown back by the recoil means he wasn't trained in how it's used. He didn't even get a chance to fire it on a test range before being sent out into the field with people. Yeah.
They don't tell him what it does, and then they laugh at him for using it wrong.
We do not discharge our weapons in view of the public. Man, we ain't got time for this cover-up bullshit.
Well, oddly enough, Lucas, that's exactly the point, because according to the Men in Black Agent's Handbook, which was released alongside the first movie, it features a bunch of extra information about the things seen in it that it doesn't go into too much detail about, such as the noisy cricket, and in that it explains that it is an MIB tradition of sorts to give rookie agents the noisy cricket as a sort of hazing ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And the thinking behind it is twofold. One, it's really fucking funny when they fire it, and it's noted that agents even take bets on how far someone will be flung back the first time they fire it. The second is that it teaches the agent, in a very visceral way, not to underestimate alien technology, which is a key part of their training.
Hey, what's this thing?
Which is something that the Men in Black franchise deals with a lot, right? Of just because it looks stupid doesn't mean it's not dangerous. Because you don't understand it. It's some weird alien shit, right? Like where they're walking around showing off all of the alien stuff they've confiscated. It's like the little rubber ball, right? And you just touch it and it flies around and like nearly destroys MIB headquarters. And like Kay's like, yeah, don't fucking mess with alien shit. It's dangerous. That's why we confiscated it in the first place.
This thing caused the 1977 New York blackout. Practical joke by the great attractor. He thought it was funny as hell.
And as well, the other lesson that he learns early in the movie of just because something looks human, it might not be, where he just like blows the guy's head off. He's like, whoa, okay, that was such an overreaction. It's like, don't worry, you'll be fine.
Drop the weapon and put your hands on your head.
I warned it.
Drop the weapon!
You warned it.
Don't make me kill you.
You insensitive prick.
Something worth noting is that in the second movie, where it's, you know, Jay, Will Smith, trying to reacclimate Kay to the ways of Men in Black, he fires the noisy cricket without any recoil.
You're back.
No.
How'd you know his head would grow back?
It grows back.
Like, he's able to use it because it says in that handbook that it is possible to turn down the power of the noisy cricket.
Right.
So it does actually you do actually have the ability to adjust how much force it puts out.
Which implies that they give them to the rookie set at full power.
Yes, they do, and that's exactly why they do it. And again, the two reasons behind that are, one, it's funny, and two, it teaches the agent not to just rush in and make assumptions about stuff based on the appearance using their knowledge gained in the real world.
And it's fine if something goes wrong, because then they can just wipe everyone's memory of it.
They can indeed, yes, but it does kind of raise an uncomfortable notion about the Men in Black universe, that they don't really train their agents, and they expect them to learn on the job, which is fine for the most part, because, okay, I guess the best way to, like, you know, teach someone about all this weird alien shit is, like, we'll go out there and see some weird alien shit. Like, I get the feeling in the Men in Black universe, most of the agents don't really know what any of the stuff does, and they're feeling out as they go along.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just the noisy cricket that he doesn't tell them about. He's like, don't push the red button.
Yep.
That's as much information as he basically gets, as far as I remember.
And then you have the great training montage right at the start of the film, where Kay reveals to Jay that none of it matters.
Cool, whatever you say, Slick, but I need to tell you something about all your skills.
As of right now, They mean precisely dick.
What we're actually testing is lateral thinking skills, because it's never directly said in the film, but it's pretty obvious if you watch it. Of like, all the tests they do are not to test their aptitude and physical capabilities. It's to test their ability to question things. Like, for example, with the written test, they give them the deliberately unwieldy chairs and the little pencils, and you have the moment where everyone's like trying to write on the tests. And Jay is the only one who questions the authority and drags the table across, right?
Want to get down on this?
Again, it's never said directly, but I think it's pretty obvious that that is what he's being tested on. Does he have, the self-awareness to look at the situation and this is kind of silly?
What's so funny, Edwards?
Your boy Captain America over here. The best of the best of the best, sir. With honors. He's just really excited and he has no clue why we're here.
The shooting section, where they ask him of like, well, why didn't you shoot any of the targets? Like, I hesitated. He doesn't make assumptions that all of the monsters are monsters.
Well, first I was going to pop this guy hanging from the street light, and then I realized, he's just working out. And how would I feel if somebody come running in the gym, bust me in my ass while I'm on a treadmill?
Then, although he does shoot, the child in the forehead.
May I ask why you felt little Tiffany deserved to die?
Well, she was the only one that actually seemed dangerous at the time, sir.
How'd you come to that conclusion?
Which is realistic for a cop, but, we'll move on.
That was a good shot, though, right?
I do believe they reference that in the cartoon, where they do have, that little girl. She is an alien. She's really dangerous.
Oh, right, okay.
I am large and in charge.
Guess what, Chubbo? I'm larger!
Talk about how he hesitated because he didn't see the aliens as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And they realise, oh, there's something about this guy. Or even when he mentions, when they have the thing like, we're the best of the best of the best. He says, well, we don't even know why we're here. He's immediately questioning the whole scenario.
That's very funny to me. Y'all ain't laughing, though.
It is one of those things where obviously in that universe you have to keep an eye out for the small details, because there's the cat with an entire galaxy in their necklace, right?
Yeah. You've got to not view things through the lens of all your experiences so far, because the world is much bigger than you think. The great speech from Cary, right? Of
500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat, and 15 minutes ago, you knew that people were alone on this planet.
Imagine what you'll know tomorrow.
Yeah, not making assumptions and being open-minded to learning that, oh, hey, everything is way more complex than you thought it would be.
Yes, but again, it does raise some weird questions, such as why do they let the agents run around with a weapon of mass destruction in their back pocket? And it's weird how Will Smith is chastised for shooting the gun in public. So when he does it, Kay comes up to him and says, what are you doing? Don't do that. Don't randomly fire your gun in public while chasing after an alien, even though the way he gets hired as an MIB agent is because he chases after an alien with a gun. That's why he gets hired in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you see this? Huh? NYPD means I will knock your punk ass down.
Because they say that he runs down a cephalopod on foot with his gun.
What the hell are you?
Weird though, right? Of I guess, as I say, the moment anything goes wrong is well, I guess we can just erase everyone's memory and move on, and no one will need to care.
Yeah, which is I love just how they use the neuralizer, and it becomes such a great running gag throughout the series. The bit where Kay is repeatedly neuralizing the mortician, or the coroner, yeah. Sorry. And just you have the bit where Will Smith, he barely gets the glasses to his eyes before he flashy things at her again.
Hey, whoever you guys are, you're gonna have to show me some ID if you're gonna be in the morgue.
Oh, yes, of course, young lady. Have a look at this for me, please.
Would you stop that?
It's just like such a great bit of comedic timing from Will Smith. Like, don't do that. You're gonna give her brain cancer or something like that. It's like, well, he's never hurt her before. It's like, how many times have you done this to this poor woman?
Hey, Kay, have you ever flashy thing me?
No.
I ain't playing with you, Kay. Have you ever flashy thing me?
No.
Just someone living in like perpetual memory loss lane.
It's so wild, right? And it's like we have to give shout outs to Will Smith's performance. Like he's really, really good in that role, and he plays so well off of Tommy Lee Jones.
And brought us a great song for it.
He did, yeah, which we can't put clips in of because we'll get copyright struck by whoever owns the rights to that because we can't put 1 second in the Men in Black song. And I remember when I was younger, I watched Men in Black. We got like the VHS tape. That's how old I am. And I didn't realise, and me and my brothers didn't realise that it opened with the music video. So it started with the music video for Men in Black, which is like 3 minutes long. And we just thought that was the movie. We just thought that was the entire movie and turned it off. I'm just like, oh, did you like that film I got for you guys? Like, it's a bit short, isn't it? And he just could not stop laughing. Because we just watched the music video and thought it's like, it reminds me of like my cousin. Well, I think the hardest I have ever seen my dad laugh is when we were at my cousin's house and we were downstairs playing PlayStation or something, and my uncle came down from upstairs with my dad and they were just in hysterics because my cousin had tried to watch Titanic. And she'd complained to her dad like, this film's boring, nothing's happening. All it is just the boat sailing. And it turns out that, do you know like the shot of the boat going across the water? That was the moment the tape froze. And do you know like when a tape would freeze, it would like wiggle a little bit?
Yeah.
So she just thought that Titanic was just the boat moving. She thought that was the really long extended shot of the boat sailing. And it was like that for like 10 minutes before she complained to that. And her dad, like my uncle and my dad just came downstairs in they were like curled up on the floor laughing.
I mean, to be fair, it is a pretty accurate description of the movie to say it's boring and nothing happens.
Until the end. That's the thing. People always forget about Titanic. It was billed as an action movie.
Really?
Well, it was. It was James Cameron.
I hope you enjoy your time together!
Pretty action-packed movie at the end when the boat starts to sink. But
the last half hour, whatever, yeah. But the first, 2 hours of that movie is like, oh my god.
And it was only after initial test audiences responded better to the romance elements than the action elements at the end that they changed tack. Like, there are early trailers for Titanic where they bill it as an action movie, where the whole point... So, obviously, you know how Titanic ends, right? You know what... You're going to that movie for one reason, it's to watch the boat sink. Or at least that's what the studio thought at first, and that's how they advertised it. Until those people responded strongly to the Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet storyline. So they just shifted their advertising.
I mean, fair, yeah.
And, so speaking of that, Lucas, do you have any, older films that you're a fan of or you have a nostalgia for because you watched them when you were younger? Because one for me is Men in Black. Like me and my brothers, after we figured out that you could watch something besides the music video, did rewatch Men in Black a lot. And as poorly as some elements of age, like the effects aren't great, and some of them are a bit hokey, which is weird considering how good the Vincent D'Onofrio makeup is. But in the second one, when they start having the weird CGI aliens.
Oh yeah, is it number 2 with Johnny Knoxville's little alien head, the second Johnny Knoxville head?
Although that film does have some great moments that I just love. I don't know who the actress who plays the evil alien in that, but she's hot as fuck. And she has one of the funniest lines in the series where it's any vegetables, 2 heads of lettuce. It just points at Johnny Knoxville. I was like that line for some reason.
Collude system.
Any fruits or vegetables?
Yeah, 2 heads of cabbage.
And Lucas, I believe you've looked up the actress's name now of that character, yes? And it is?
It looks like they were played by Laura Flynn Boyle, I believe.
There we go. So shout outs to her. You were a very, very positive, formative memory for me in that outfit that you wore in Men in Black 2.
I love coming here, I work on a TV show where it's just 15, 16 pages of dialogue a day. I come here and have big hair and high heels.
Apparently they were also in Wayne's World and Twin Peaks.
More than in Wayne's World.
Incoming, Stacy, 10 o'clock.
Hi, Wayne. Hi.
So I also love Wayne's World, and that's a subject I would like to cover over on our sister channel, Lucas, Wiki Weekends, which is where we like delve into wiki entries for movies, franchises, characters that we're fans of, go through them and see what kind of conversation arises as a result. And one that I would like to cover is the wiki entry for Wayne's World and for, like, you know, stuff related to the Men in Black universe. 'Cause it's surprisingly deep, considering that most people think of it as like one good movie and two middling movies and then that really bad one with Chris Hemsworth.
Because is Men in Black originally just from that first 90s movie?
I think it's based on a graphic novel.
Right, yeah, because it does feel like a way more fleshed out universe than just a 2-hour movie would imply.
Yeah, I believe it was originally based on a graphic novel series, and that's what the cartoon pulled from for a lot of the stories.
Yeah, because just it gives off that vibe of just like a very established universe, right?
Yeah, and it's playing on some pretty well-worn tropes. Now, like Men in Black has long been a thing in conspiracy circles of like whenever alien shit happens or like weird stuff that you can't explain, mysterious government agents dressed all in black will turn up and like cover everything up. That's been a thing for like decades at this point.
The classic, you know, Area 51 type conspiracies and stuff like that, yes.
Yeah, which is that's something I'd like to cover on Wiki Weekends, because the whole thing about Area 51 is fascinating to me, because people always say, oh, Area 51, I always think it has something to do with Roswell. It turns out that it has nothing to do with it initially, because people didn't know what the fuck Area 51 was when Roswell happened. Also, those two locations are hundreds of miles apart.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's like the Area 51 stuff was added retroactively to the conspiracy. Similar like UFOs. Like, for example, do you know the whole the classic image of a UFO? Like flying saucer, right?
Yeah.
That's complete bullshit. Because the guy who initially made the reports of seeing a UFO, an unidentified flying object, didn't describe them as being saucer-shaped. They described them as moving like a saucer that had been flung. And they described the shape of the craft that they saw as being cigar-like. So similar to a rocket ship. However, in like, you know, the pop culture, it's like always a flying saucer, even though that's not what the guy said, which is how you know most of the footage and photos of alien stuff is either fake or bullshit, because they don't look like what UFOs were described as initially.
What in the world? That's nothing from this world.
See, I like the idea that aliens have now seen our movies, like Close Encounters and stuff.
Oh, that's rad, let's do that.
Then, yeah, they built those designs based off our designs from movies.
Yeah, and they're all things that I would love to cover on Wiki Weekends, because like, there's so much meat on that bone. And like, you know, if people out there are inclined to agree, or you have any suggestions for us of things we can cover, whether they be like, you know, fictional universes, anything like that, you can do so in the comment section below, or follow the links you can find below to Wiki Weekends and the Discord we run in relation to that channel. So we're always looking for suggestions for stuff to cover.
Maybe head over there to watch us talk about more Men in Black, because I am now really getting that itch to go and rewatch it, and that may be a video that I do very soon.
Yeah, rewatch the first one, and then maybe some clips from the second and the third one. The third one's mostly notable because it's got Josh Brolin doing one of the best impressions of another actor.
Because he's young K.
He's young K, and he's so close to Tommy Lee Jones as mannerisms and physical performance and voice. A lot of people assume they use some sort of digital trickery to make him sound or look more like Tommy Lee Jones. Like, no, just Josh Brolin is a fucking good actor.
Josh Brolin comes in as the young Tommy Lee. He just is a wonderful image of the young K.
Agent K, how are you?
I'm good. Okay, group hug on the way to doing what we're doing.
It's something that's, you know, interesting, because it's come up recently of like a lot of people are finding it hard to believe that there is no Harrison Ford in the new Indiana Jones game, The Great Circle.
Because of how close Troy Baker's voice performance is to how Harrison Ford sounds in real life.
It was absolutely the hardest job that I've ever had to do. Oddly enough, this was an opportunity that I originally said no to. Can I make you believe that I'm Indiana Jones? Can I make you believe that I'm sounding like Indiana Jones? Like I'm moving like Indiana Jones?
And even apparently like the physical performances of like how much he gets his mannerisms down and stuff is, people are finding it really hard to believe that it is not like meshed with performances from Harrison Ford in some way.
Which is like a credit to the talent of the people doing that, right? And it's just one of those things that's going to happen when it's someone who's so well known. I think it's like Bill Hader. Like, he's a really good impressionist. And speaking of like, the Titanic, it was a really great story he told about. He got fired from his job in a cinema for spoiling Titanic. Because he told people that the boat sunk, and people complained of like, well, now I know the ending. It's like, it's called Titanic! But
it's like, spoilers from 80 plus years ago.
But apparently, like, he does one of the best impressions of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Guard in his mouth, and he goes, "What is Jeff and Peter?" That's his hair and makeup guys.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't know, I'll find them. And he goes, "Find them. Show me your leadership capabilities."
Like, he does really good impressions. And, like, speaking of comedians being good at impressions, you have, it's not Keegan-Michael Key, Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele does a really good impression of Barack Obama. So good, in fact, that Barack Obama himself has complimented Peele on how close he is at emulating his voice and mannerisms.
Nice to meet you.
Jerome Smith.
Come on, brother. What's up, fam? You know this.
Heath Williamson.
Nice to meet you.
And I think they've done a couple of sketches where he plays Obama, right?
Yeah, quite a few. Like, one of my favourite ones is just like, it's the rap battle on the street corner. Obama pulls up in the presidential limo and goes, "I'm the leader of the free world." Drops the mic and fucks off. So in that vein, Lucas, you got any favourite performances from actors pretending to be other actors? Similar to, like, Josh Brolin pretending to be Tommy Lee Jones?
Well, one thing that I found really interesting was watching clips of like early Jim Cary. Where all he did was just, here's an impression of this person.
Because he's got a really great talent for moving his face. He's basically been a rubber. Like, his Clint Eastwood impression is perhaps the most famous because his face turns into Clint Eastwood's face. I don't know how else to describe it, but his face transforms. It's fucking weird.
It really is, but it's really also weird to watch like his stand-up routines where there was no jokes, there was no tangents. He would just stand there and go, "And now I'm going to do an impression of this person."
It's weird to think, right, of just that was what comedy was for a little bit. Of like,
it was for some people because I don't think he was doing particularly well for a long time
until he got into acting and he really got to like flex his creative chops. And like how good of a physical performer he is. Because that's the thing about Jim Cary, of like, I legit think one of the greatest acting performances is from Jim Cary in Me, Myself and Irene, where he's playing two people in the same body. And it is 100% believable when he's arguing with himself, because his ability to change the way his face looks. When he argues with himself, you can tell which version of the personality he's playing.
Had enough? Up yours.
It's insane how much it is like a literal flip being switched between two different people.
Yeah, it's crazy how good he is at that. And I think the closest you get to it is like Willem Dafoe in like Spider-Man, where it's like his Green Goblin persona and the Norman Osborn persona.
Yeah, and that famous speech where he's like talking to himself in the mirror.
And just his face looks different. His Goblin persona physically looks different from the Norman Osborn persona, even though it's the same actor and the same face. It's a really impressive talent, as is like, impressionism in general.
Yeah.
You killed them. We killed them.
We?
Remember your little accident in the laboratory? Performance enhancers. Bingo.
Even though it tends to, like, not get made fun of, but it's seen as like lesser because you're just emulating the work of somebody else. But a truly skilled impressionist is really impressive.
Yeah, I think it probably gets looked down upon because there's so many just bad impressionists out there doing a really crappy job, right?
There's so many like mid-tier impressionists who kind of get away with doing a slightly exaggerated version of the person they're playing. Like I said, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a person who everyone could do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, right? Lucas, give us your Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Put that cookie down!
Yeah, everyone's got one, right? And we talked about this in a Fact Fiend video a few years ago about Billy West, when he does the voice of Fry, the way he ensured that he would never get recast is by using his own voice when portraying Fry, because he knew, as a voice actor, that when people try to put on the voice of a character, emulate another character, they tend to exaggerate it, even if it's only a little bit. And as a result, it never sounds exactly right. In regards to Arnold Schwarzenegger, people always, they add more of an inflection than he actually has. And as a result, the impression never sounds exactly right. And that's why Bill Hader's is considered to be one of the best, because he doesn't exaggerate his performance. It just sounds like him.
Big line in that movie was, "Open up the door, there's a bomb in there." The first time I met him.
And it's interesting because, like, I saw an interview not long ago with James Acaster. I think it was an interview, or like, you know, some kind of podcast or something, where he was talking about, like, oh yeah, some guy came up to me once and, like, did an impression of me to me. And, you know, I was just trying to be polite and said, like, oh mate, that's a really good impression. And then, like, off the back of that, he then, like, made his entire, like, online presence being a James Acaster impersonator.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was actually a bit shit, but I just didn't want to be rude to this, like, random dude I met on the street.
Yeah. And it's like, but there are some really good impressionists out there. I believe one is Jay Pharoah. Like, Jay Pharoah is considered, like, one of the best impressionists working today. And he does, like, I'm going to say basically one-to-one Eddie Murphy impression. Like, to the point where if you close your eyes, that's just Eddie Murphy. And that's how, like, that's like that guy's bread and butter as well as being, like, you know, just a fantastic performer. But like it's one-to-one.
Well, you know, what first I would say to these people, just hold on, Matt. You know what I'm saying? I gotta say this. Why did it take so long? That's my question. I should have been had me an Oscar.
And one thing that I just like, because it's kind of funny, you mentioned a British comedian there. Let's mention a lesser-known British comedian now. Even though I think he's well-known in Britain, but not in America. That's Rick Mayall. You know, arguably one of the greatest physical... He's basically the Jim Carrey of the UK. In terms of, like, his ability to become a character and, like, transform his face, right? He has such an expressive face.
Not sprouts! I hate sprouts! Oh, will you stop whinging, Eddie? Nobody likes sprouts! Then why are we having them then? Because it's Christmas!
I get what you mean, but just, like, that phrase of, like, the Jim Carrey of the UK.
Well, I think it's a pretty apt comparison of, like, the manic energy that he brought to every performance, right?
I'm afraid I'm on my way now. You're not going anywhere!
And there's a story told by Greg Davis about when he cast Rick Mayall to play his dad in a show, because they look kind of similar. And he was talking about how he was just, like, you know, shooting the shit with Rick Mayall. And he just, like, he just made a face of disgust like that, which is something Rick Mayall would do. And in that moment, he looked exactly like Rick Mayall. And Rick Mayall just looked at him and went, no, that's mine. Don't do that. Because it looks so similar to when he does it.
Well, you do look very like him.
I do.
Yeah.
Do you know, once on set, I accidentally did this. And I swear it was accidental. I was just adjusting my face. And he went, don't do that, that's mine.
And just before I forget, Karl, another thing that, you know, we may talk about at some point, because it's being revived in some odd way, is Turok. And I wanted to go and mention a Turok gun in this video. That's another gun that I wanted to mention.
We didn't talk much about fictional guns, did we? We kind of went off on a tangent, which is very unexpected.
Not like
for
us.
Yeah, not like us at all. We'll end on some cool fictional guns. Because Turok does have a few. Which is the one for you from Turok that you like?
Well, I think it's Turok 2 has the Cerebral Ball.
Oh yeah, just the most terrifying weapon ever.
Which is apparently influenced from, like, a movie that I've never seen, which is, like, Phantasm, and there's, like, this flying sphere that just, like, hunts for your head. And it just stabs you in the head, but then the cerebral ball, like, bores into your brain and explodes your head from inside.
I'm a big fan of cool fictional guns, and something I really don't like is when you have a game that's set in either the future or a sci-fi universe or some alternate history, and they just put in a fucking shotgun.
Yeah.
Or a rifle or a sniper rifle. And it's like, where's the cool alien shit? Like, I love the Halo series, and that's why we mentioned the Needler. Needler's one of my favourite fictional guns. It's so alien. Of all the guns in that series, it's the one that looks like something that's truly alien. And I hate how in the Halo games, the best weapons in the game are the sniper rifle, the shotgun, and the rocket launcher. It makes the universe feel weirdly less alive. And that's something that's cool about Men in Black, where all the guns in that, they look like they're roughly like analogous to guns that we can recognise. They do weird, unexpected things.
Yeah, and I do like the universes where, say for example, like Halo or Gears of War, where they have a balance of, well, here's the traditional human weaponry, but here's the alien weird weaponry stuff, right?
Here's the cool alien shit, and that's why I love the Needler. It feels like a truly alien weapon. And the Halo series doesn't have many weapons like the Needler. The Needler is the single most interesting thing in that entire universe, in my opinion. It's so fucking weird and cool. And I love, again, we've covered it on Wiki Weekends, the extra universe lore, where they talk about no fucker knows how it works. Like, human scientists have spent decades trying to figure out what it does, and like the Covenant won't tell them.
Yeah.
They won't tell them how it works, and they won't tell them where they get the crystals from.
See these holes on the top plate? That's where the needle rounds are primed. You pull the trigger. Somehow, they just know how to target living tissue.
As close as you get to fire and forget now.
And I think it's interesting as well because you see that, like, in the weaponry itself, it tells the tale of how, well, the Brutes were their own civilization that became part of the Covenant, and they had their own unique set of weaponry with, like, the blades on them and stuff.
Yeah, it's more brutish, more savage, whereas the Covenant stuff is more alien, it's more plasma and energy-based.
Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, a lot of the things where it's the brute weapons, it's blades and spike grenades and grenade launchers and stuff.
Yeah, and I just like when a fictional universe puts in cool fictional weaponry, where they take advantage of the universe they've created to create stuff that feels truly alien, or just like something you've not seen before. Like, I think one of the best examples of that, because they don't draw attention to it, it's just there, is District 9, which, again, I'd love to cover on Wiki Weekends, where just every alien weapon in that is fucking rad as shit.
Yeah.
Everything is rad, and they never explain how it works, because why would they? They don't. People don't know how they work.
I vaguely remember as well, I've only seen the movie once, but like I remember Elysium having a cool few like futuristic different bits of tech in like the weaponry and gadgets and stuff.
Same guys on Neil Blomkamp. And speaking of Halo, supposedly the District 9 was going to be the Halo movie before the rights kind of like just got lost in the shuffle, and Neil Blomkamp already had all of like the cool alien shit made, so just repurposed it and made it look a bit more cobbled together for his universe. And that's why you get all like the weird ass alien looking weapons in that film. They all look incredible.
And you know, obviously we mentioned I talked about Gears of War a second ago, but we mentioned Hammer of Dawn a lot. But just shout out to the torque bow as well.
The torque bow is awesome. Just the noise it makes, like the wong 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 wong.
And also just the noise it makes in multiplayer, like jun jun jun, as people like charge it for like
just
half
a little bit
second around every corner.
And you know what, Lucas? Fuck yeah, Hammer of Dawn. I love the Hammer of Dawn because I love how they establish in Gears of War, which is again another universe that's weirdly deep and rich in storytelling and world building. The Hammer of Dawn is the single most useful thing they have in that game. And normally your question would be in a game or a piece of media when something is clearly so useful that it would be literally world changing. Like, the problems that exist in Gears of War should not exist if they have the Hammer of Dawn. And they seemingly anticipated that by saying, well, the Hammer of Dawn, people don't know, it works as a giant fuck-off laser from space. Obliterates everything. It's the single most useful thing, like, the COG have. And they said, well, all the satellites, there's like 5 left, and we can't launch anymore. And we can only use the Hammer of Dawn when one of those satellites is above us. And that only happens, like, very rarely, because they keep falling out of fucking orbit. And I love that the ending of... Is it Gears of War 2 or 3?
I think it's 3.
What the ending of one of the Gears of War's games is where they say, okay, what we've done is we've used all of humanity's resources to put every Hammer of Dawn in existence into one spot, and you just get like 40 Hammer of Dawns. So yeah, let's go!
Does the Lambent Brumac have no chance?
It has no fucking chance. It's like, what a cool... And the fact as well, they thought, well, this is a really cool weapon. It's really powerful. How do we prevent the player from just abusing it or asking the question of why don't they use this all the time? And I'm always a fan of when a fictional universe thinks about people who, and I'm always a fan of when a fictional universe anticipates these kind of questions and answers them.
And I just love as well, shout out to another Gears of War weapon, the Digger, where they were like, well, here's an answer to the question of what do we do about people sitting in cover? It's just introduce the Digger.
Yeah, which is, it's the spiritual successor to the Hammer of Dawn, right? If that comes from the sky and obliterates you, what do the Locust have? The thing that goes up your ass. So can you imagine now if you had a Digger, like dual wielding, you had a Digger and you had the Cerebral Ball? So you've got no chance, have you?
And people always love like the Lancer. I love the retro Lancer where you've just got to like sprint screaming at your enemy with a giant bayonet.
Well, one of the weapons that I've always been a fan of, just because how fucking stupid it is in the Destroy All Humans game you have. I think it's like the disc locator. And it's just, it fires like this disc of energy, and when it lodges itself in something and then just moves it around. And I always remember playing Destroy All Humans 2 co-op, and if you get like, I remember going to London where there's the London buses, and you can upgrade the dislocator to move heavier and heavier objects. And it got to the point where if you launch 4 into a bus, it'd fly around. But then if you're playing 2-player, you put 8 into one. And I was with me and my friend, okay, we're going to put 8 dislocators into a London bus. And it just took off. It's like I've never, like, you'd have no chance.
And I think just also shout out to one of the coolest moments in like any game upgrade gun wise is like the moment that you've got like, you've got the gravity gun and it can be influencing like, the saw blades that you find on the ground and stuff. And it's like, oh man, it's so frustrating that you can't just like hit the crab head in the face with a gravity gun. And then the game is like, what about if we let you use it on humans now? It's like, oh, fuck yeah.
It's like similar to in Dead Space, where they introduced kinesis. And kinesis is such a cool fucking idea of like, you just pick up objects and fling them forwards using like electromagnetic power or whatever the fuck they explain it away. And then I think it's Dead Space 3, where they say, oh, is there like weird alien shit that powers up your kinesis to like god power? And you can just use it to just straight up just throw enemies off the planet into the atmosphere.
No, can't you? I forgot about
you just like, you can now use it to just grab the enemies directly and throw them away. And just and the ending of that game is Isaac firing like mountain-sized markers at a moon using kinesis. Like, fuck yeah, video games. You know what? They're all topics for another day, and we'll no doubt cover them over on Wiki Weekends. Go check it out.